Hey everybody, welcome back. So this video is going to be about Season 1, Episode 3 of Vampire Diaries. Title of the episode is Friday Night Bites. So when we left off, Damon and Caroline were hooking up and Damon started using Caroline as his chew toy. So, beginning of this episode, Caroline wakes up, sees the bite mark on her neck and everything, and she's like, okay, I should probably get out of here. Damon's still asleep. She tries sneaking out, but Damon's like super hearing and whatnot, and stops her from leaving and starts sucking on her blood again. So Caroline, as of this moment, is Damon's chew toy. So Bonnie, in the previous episode, had that really weird premonition sort of thing when she touched Stefan's hand as she gave him Elena's phone number. So Bonnie, being the super awesome, and I am not being sarcastic, best friend that she is talking to Elena about it, and she's like, this is not a good idea. Getting really bad vibes, trying to be a good friend. Well, Elena's like, well, you don't know Stefan that well, so hey, how about this? Let's all three of us have dinner together, and so then you can get to know Stefan more because he's a super great guy, blah, blah, blah. Well, Vicky and Jeremy are still kind of doing their thing. Vicky invites Jeremy over to a concert, but Jeremy's like, no, because he's, pretty upset that Vicky even wants anything to do with Tyler, considering how big of an asshole Tyler is to Vicky. So, oh yes, Scam Likely. Sorry, I got a call there. Scam Likely. How many of you get calls from Scam Likely? I swear, it's like the only people on earth who really cares about you anymore. And myself. Well, except for my wife. Love you, babe. Anyways, moving on. Tyler's teasing Matt for, not getting back with Elena. Tyler's just being Tyler. I don't really like him very much. He's got way too much, I don't know. Angst isn't the right word, but yeah, he's kind of being a dick. So, Stefan and Elena are walking together. Tyler sees them. Now, Tyler and Matt are tossing a football to each other, and Tyler's like, hey, watch this, this is going to be super funny, and chucks the football towards Stefan's head, but Stefan, being super high-speed vampire, but not as high-speed vampire as Damon is, mind you, Stefan basically just instant transmissions and catches the football right before it hits him in the back of the head, and then, only using what I would assume as 25% of his full power, throws the football back to Tyler, and it damn near knocks Tyler on his ass. So, a bit of instant karma right there. Well, Elena's like, holy crap, that was super awesome. You should get onto the football team. And Stefan's like, nah, I don't know about that. And Elena's like, oh, come on, it'll be fun. You'll make friends, blah, blah, blah. And so he's like, all right, you know what? Sure. So, during the football practice, Damon shows up. He's in pads. I believe that he's in pads and everything. Don't know where he got the pads from. But anyways, Tyler's like, what are you doing here? And Stefan's like, hey, Mr. Tanner. Yes, that Mr. Tanner, the same dickwad history teacher who I really, 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 really hate. I honestly hate him more than Joffrey. If you guys agree, please let me know. He is a douche. Anyways, Stefan's like, hey, can I try out for the team? And Mr. Tanner's like, oh, we're not doing tryouts now, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. And, well, Stefan's like, hey, well, can I at least practice with you guys? I used to play wide receiver. And, well, part of Mr. Tanner's problem with Stefan was that earlier in the episode, Mr. Tanner tries to use his big high school teacher history brain to embarrass Stefan, and Stefan just completely schools him. And, well, yeah, because I believe that he corrected Mr. Tanner on a date, and Mr. Tanner's like, oh, well, you're so good at dates, huh? Well, what about this? Like, keep it to the year. Civil Rights Act. And Stefan responds, 1964. Oh, Brown v. Board. Oh, 1953, which I think it was 1953. Well, anyways, Damon was right, or not Damon, sorry. Stefan was right on every single term, and it made Mr. Tanner look like the moron that he is. Moving on. Stefan apologizes, and then Mr. Tanner's like, all right, fine, I'll let you try out. So, Stefan's just like out competing everybody because he's got super vampire Saiyan speeds and all this stuff, and he's just running circles around them. But then, to make himself not look super hot, because that would be very, very sus. Yes, I'm going to be using that. Since that would be super sus, he decides to let Tyler tackle him and mess up one pass after Tyler was like, hey, Matt, because Matt's the quarterback, is like, Matt, ruin this for him. And so Matt, being kind of the go with the flow, I don't know. I don't mind Matt, but he really needs to stand up for himself more. Anyways, he goes along with it. He screws up the pass, and Stefan goes along with it. Tyler lays him out, and Tyler's like, because he finally got his revenge, even though, joke's on you, Stefan allowed that to happen. So, Stefan's finger's broken. He sets his finger back in place, and yeah. And since he's a vampire, he insta-heals. Anyways, while all this stuff is going on, Elena is trying to get back into cheerleading. There's the cheer practice. Caroline shows up in Damon's car because Damon drives her to the practice. Caroline's got a scarf on in order to hide the bite marks because, again, Damon is using Caroline as a blonde chew toy. So, Elena's like very, very out of sync, out of practice because, you know, she missed a bunch of practices due to the tragedy of her parents' death. We should all give her a pass on that because, come on, who would not end up sucking at cheerleading, especially me, because I cannot dance whatsoever. But yeah, so Elena's not doing too hot. Caroline asks her to stand in the back, and Elena dips out to watch the practice, and then she sees, you know, the whole Stefan getting laid out by Tyler, and, well, yeah. So, later on, Elena and Bonnie are making dinner, because, you know, there's the whole dinner thing that they were going to do for Elena to be like, look, Bonnie, he's not so bad. Well, Bonnie's talking to Elena about the super weird vibes and everything and what she saw. Or, well, not exactly what she saw, but the vibes that she got from when she touched Stefan. Now, so Bonnie is descended from witches from Salem. So it really does seem like she's got some super high-speed witch powers. Oh, by the way, I'm still driving through New Mexico. I'm going home for my home time. That'll be a lot of fun. And I am in Las Cruces now. Gonna be heading up to Hatch and then I-25 north. So, Bonnie Bonnie's talking about all the weird vibes and how when she touched Stefan, she only felt cold and it felt like death. And she keeps seeing the numbers 8, 14, and 22. So they end up, Stefan comes over and they're having dinner. And at first it's like extremely, extremely, extremely awkward. And it's like, honestly, it's like peak awkwardness. Like I do not know of a situation that would be more awkward than that. But anyways, in order to break the ice, Elena mentions that Bonnie is descended from witches from Salem. And so Bonnie starts to be embarrassed, but then Stefan's like, look, no, you should be proud of your heritage, and Bonnie starts to warm up to him. So the doorbell rings, and it turns out that it is Caroline and Damon. Now, Stefan and Damon are vampires, and part of the vampire lore is that you have to invite the vampire into your home, or else they cannot enter the home. But once you give them permission, they can come and go as they please. So Damon and Caroline show up. Stefan tries to get Elena to not invite Damon in, but Elena's like, why are you being so weird? And she ends up inviting Damon into her home. Big mistake. So, Damon, just, being Damon and playing 4D chess, he makes comments about Catherine. He's like sowing the seeds of doubt with Elena. And that, well, yeah, so there's all that stuff going on. Stefan finds out, ends up seeing that Caroline is being Damon's chew toy, and he's not too happy about that. Because Stefan just wants to have a normal life, but Damon's screwing with him, and Damon's got some really crazy moves planned ahead. As far as Damon is like the Tyrion Lannister mixed with Tywin. So Tyrion's cleverness, but Tywin's ruthlessness. Even though Tyrion is pretty ruthless himself. But anyways, I don't want to make this too long, so I'm going to try to hurry up through this. So anyways, that goes on. They have a football game that night. Big old football game. The whole high school tropes of, yeah, we're going to beat them, our big rivals, this team. Well, Stefan gives Elena a necklace because he wants to protect Elena from Damon. Well, a little bit later, Damon, he tries to compel Elena into kissing him, but she's able to resist it because of the contents of the necklace, an herb called vervain. Now, when you are wearing vervain, such as in a necklace, or if you take vervain extract and you drink it, then you are immune from compulsion by vampires. So, Jeremy's at the whole pre-game rally stuff. He's drunk. He's pretty pissed. He ends up attacking Tyler, and they get into a big old fight. Stefan steps in, and his hand gets cut by the broken bottle that Jeremy was drinking from. Elena gets super worried about him because she saw his hand get sliced open, but Stefan's like, no, it's fine, it's not even my blood. But she's like, wait, I saw this thing like go through your hand. And she looks at his hand and there's nothing there, and she's like really weirded out by all this stuff, and she's like, oh, what the heck's going on? Something's not right here. 2 and 2 is not coming together. Elena's very smart, by the way. She's very, very intelligent. So it was after the fight that Damon tries to compel Elena. I know I'm kind of mixing stuff up here, but this is something of a summary and a review. and I don't have a script while I'm doing this, and I'm kind of going off of memory and using Wikipedia to make sure that I'm kind of hitting the main plot points. I did watch the episode, I swear. So, So there's this whole stuff with the necklace, and Damon confronts Stefan, and he's threatening to hurt Elena because Damon just really wants to screw with Stefan. That's kind of his whole deal at the moment. And, you know, Stefan's like, no, Damon, come back to the light. You're not, like, there's still humanity left in you. He tries the whole Luke Skywalker thing with Vader, like, I still sense the good in you. And Damon, just to prove a point, he's like, nah, I am not human. My humanity is dead. Mr. Tanner shows up, and Damon ends up, well, turning Mr. Tanner into a late-night snack, killing him. Thank goodness. Alright, if you heard that beeping, that was a collision warning thing. These trucks are pretty cool. They got like a radar thing that helps prevent you from getting into wrecks and stuff. Really cool tech. Anyways, Damon, just to prove a point, is like, nope, I am not a human. There is no humanity left in me. I am 100% dark side, bitches. So Mr. Tanner comes up, and Damon sucks Mr. Tanner dry. Thank God. One of the most satisfying deaths that I have ever seen on TV. Yes, I did not like Mr. Tanner that much. I liked Joffrey more than Mr. Tanner. And that says a lot. Especially if you guys have watched Game of Thrones. So, Matt discovers Mr. Tanner's body, and he's like, holy crap, somebody call an ambulance. Well, you know, ambulance and police and stuff, they all show up, and Bonnie's there just like in shock, because, you know, history teacher just got murdered. Even though they're like, oh no, it was an animal attack. I'm trying to cover stuff up. And as Bonnie is observing her surroundings, she notices that the building where Mr. Tanner died in front of was number 8. And then she looks at a car that is like right next to the spot where Mr. Tanner got eaten, and she sees the number 14 on the license plate. And then the parking space where Mr. Tanner got bled out was number 22. And so Bonnie is like, holy crap, because she had been seeing the numbers 8, 14, and 22. And it all came true. And she's really freaked out about it. So, Elena obviously is freaking out too, because she thinks that an animal just ate Mr. Tanner in front of the freaking school. And she's like, what the hell? She's scared. She's worried, but Stefan consoles her, and he's like, look, everything's going to be fine. Like a good boyfriend would. And, you know, at the start and end of the episode, it's usually Damon and Elena writing in their diaries, hence the name Vampire Diaries. And Stefan's like, yeah, Damon's not human. I got to stop him. And so Damon is also stalking Elena. He's like in her room while she's sleeping, and then end of the episode. So pretty good episode. I gotta admit, I am so happy that Mr. Tanner died. I really did not like him. Really, I did not like him. He was a horrible teacher, horrible person, but I gotta admit, that actor is one hell of an actor. You know? Like, I'm always very, very, very impressed by the actors who play the villains, who do their jobs so well that you just utterly despise that person. you know. And what's really funny is usually the actors themselves are really cool, really chill people. Like, look at, what's his name, who plays Draco Malfoy. Really cool dude. And I bet that the dude who plays Joffrey is probably pretty cool to chill out with and hang out with. He's probably a great dude. But anyways, that was kind of my summary reaction review thing of episode 3, Friday Night Bites. And so my wife and I finished episode 6 last night, so I really need to get caught up with everything. So I got 3 more of these to do. I'm going to try to get them done today as far as the actual recording, and then when I'm at home, I'm going to get everything edited and caught up, and then I promise I will try to be a lot more regular on this. Anyways, stay safe out there, guys. World's crazy, but have a great day.